They picked the wrong man to mess with, and I mean that literally. When strangers started stapling fake maps to trees and calling the cops on my fishing line, I laughed, because I'd seen worse in places where people aim for you with more than sticky notes. But laughing stopped being an option the night someone tried to inspect my dock at 3 in the morning. I bought this place for one thing: quiet mornings, a thermos of coffee, and the ritual of a cast into glassy water. The mist would curl off the lake like a slow breath cattails would whisper, and for an hour or two, the world felt like a quiet promise. I kept 2 rods propped on a bench, a little camera tucked under the boathouse eave, and a map in a tube by the gate. Simple measures, small comforts. That's the part of it people never see in the photos: the quiet, the ritual, the muscle memory of rigging a line before the sun remembers it's morning. Then the signs appeared: big, reflective, fresh, private property, no trespassing, bolted to trees along the road. The first time a lemon windbreakered woman rolled up in a golf cart and started photographing me like I was a zoo exhibit, I thought it was a one-off. "You can't fish here without a permit," she shouted. "Private property," I called back, and the kind of polite smile you use on stray dogs lived on my face. She left, but she left a taste of something sour in the air, like someone had lit a fuse and walked away. A few days later, county patrol cars showed up. I handed the officer my driver's license, pulled the topo map out of the tube, and fed him the deed that says, "This land is mine," from one legal corner to the other. I even pulled up the live feed from the boathouse camera that showed the woman photographing me before she called. The officer looked brow furrowed and told her plainly, "That's his property." She spat, "We'll see you in court," and tore off like a storm. I walked back to the dock, finished my cast, and the lake swallowed the noise for a while. Then the mail came. Heavy envelope, gold embossed seal from the Clear Pines Lakeside Homeowners Association. They had suddenly discovered a shared ecological wetland wedge cutting into my lake in their map. The wedge was highlighted in green like a green thumb scribble, slicing through fresh water that my deed clearly enclosed. According to their letter, I'd been violating an environmental article, operating an unauthorized dock, and needed to dismantle everything within 5 business days. The map was wrong. It wasn't a mistake, it was deliberate. I called Darlene Cates. She's the sort of lawyer who makes people tighten their belts just by entering a room: precise, fierce, practical. She looked at the HOA's map and the county records and said, "They forged a boundary." Darlene didn't say might or probably. She said it like a fact. That's when things escalated. Emails bubbled up from neighbors I'd never met. Accusations of pollution claims. My dock lowered property values, threats to report me to state agencies. Someone left a red marker note taped to my mailbox: "Remove the illegal pier immediately or face HOA action." No signature, just their seal. Someone stapled glossy flyers to mailboxes: "Violator on lot 18B," with my dock blurred in the background. When a dead fish showed up on my driveway with a note pinned through its gill, I stopped being amused. My nights grew thin. Motion alerts pinged my phone at odd hours. One night at 3:14 a.m., my boathouse camera showed a beam crossing the dock. I grabbed boots and a flashlight and found a man on my dock in a reflective vest, clipboard in hand. He flashed a patch that read, "Clear Pines Lakeside Security," the kind of badge you buy online to feel important. "I'm conducting an inspection," he said, like he was reading from an HR manual. I asked for paperwork. He muttered, "President Telbot instructed me," and kept scribbling. I kept the camera rolling, thumbed 911, and the deputies arrived. They cuffed him on the dock for trespass and impersonation. Inside his clipboard were HOA forms with my name scrawled atop: "Mandatory Compliance Inspection." It was theater designed to look like law. That night, the lake's quiet felt like a fragile truce, but the smears kept coming. Someone flooded community message boards with claims that I'd threatened an inspector, ruined a breeding area, and jeopardized kids with hostile behavior. 2 pickup trucks from the HOA neighborhood rolled past my gate, slow enough to scare chickens. One driver shouted, "Pack up and get out before someone gets hurt." Threats were cataloged, plates were recorded, and Darlene's inbox grew a little fatter every day with new evidence. That's when I started doubling down: floodlights in the tree line, overlapping cameras, motion sensors, a drone survey to document every inch of shoreline, and a backup server in Boise. If you're going to be accused of stealing a lake, it helps to have a drone that can prove you're not. And then a small, strange twist arrived in the form of a man named Eric from the county registrar. He told me he'd seen a string of boundary applications from Clear Pines, Weird filings often slipped through on holidays and weekends. His voice had the sort of quiet that makes you listen. They're doing this a lot lately. That line stuck like a fishhook. Darlene went digging and found 7 expansion attempts dating back to 2019 survey maps redrawn to sweep in shoreline, forged signatures, easement claims that magically appeared on old parcels. In 3 cases, the Planning Commission had signed off because nobody protested meetings were scheduled when folks were least likely to see them. It wasn't just one grudge, it was a pattern. Then Ellis Green called. Soft-spoken guy in his 60s, the kind of man who looks like he knows what a handshake is worth. He said he'd sold me the property and kept a file. We met at a diner where the coffee is earnest and cheap, and he slid a thick envelope across the Formica counter. Letters, emails, even a voicemail of Karen, the lemon jacket queen, promising to take care of the lake once you're gone. There was also a notarized statement saying Ellis never granted HOA rights over the property. Ellis was the missing piece, the kind of quiet witness that turns a messy story into something prosecutable. With Ellis and a handful of others who'd been quietly bulldozed, Darlene expanded our case. This was no longer just about one trespasser or a fake inspector. We filed claims of attempted fraudulent annexation, civil conspiracy, and harassment. The DA opened an investigation. We served the HOA a cease and desist with video of the midnight inspector, the forged ordinance and certified overlays, proving my boundary was clean. They hit back with legal artillery letters from an HOA attorney threatening fines, daily penalties, and mandatory access for eco-assessors. It was a paper war designed to drown people in invoices and fear. But the story went public. Grace Whitaker at the local TV station ran the piece, HOA claims Man's Lake as their own. People called. Former board members came forward. Neighbors who'd been quiet started sending evidence photos, sworn statements. Court was a beige room with fluorescent lights and the smell of institutional air, which made the whole thing feel oddly real and small at the same time. We played the footage, the inspector's patch, the 3:14 a.m. beam, Karen's taped calls. Ellis took the stand and described pressure offers of help and envelopes slid across tables. A resigned former board member testified about doctored meetings held when no one watched. The jury listened, and the evidence stacked like quiet rocks. Verdict: guilty on civil counts, fraudulent filings, harassment, trespass, and defamation, plus fines, a 10-year ban on HOA leadership for Karen, and an order for the HOA to reimburse legal costs. The DA announced a criminal probe into falsified public records. That little label guilty landed like a wet stone in a pond, and the ripples were visible. I put a plaque on my dock the week after bronze and unapologetic, caught a big fish, then caught Karen. People laugh when they see it. They take pictures. Kids point and ask why someone would try to steal a lake. It's petty, sure, but it's the kind of petty that tastes like justice when you've been under siege. Still, and here's the part that sticks with me, the lesson wasn't just that the law got it right. People will weaponize systems meant to protect communities, twist bureaucracy into a club, and use the appearance of authority as a bluff. Power is magnetic for a certain kind of person. The law is slow, clumsy, and sometimes infuriating, but truth is sticky. It accumulates, and eventually you can point to the trail it leaves. So the lake is quiet again. The dock creaks the way docks do, and once in a while I'll hear a golf cart in the distance and smile. Justice came in paperwork and testimony and a reporter's camera, and it felt good, it felt earned. But I'll leave you with this. A question that's not neat when neighborhood governance turns predatory. Who is supposed to police the police and who watches the watchers? Is a court's restitution enough to fix a community's trust? Or does the real work start with people choosing not to look the other way? Tell me, what would you have done? Is it justice when a judge orders restitution, or is it only real when the community changes its tune? Drop your take in the comments, share your similar stories, and if you think the little guy can win, hit share and spread it around. Which side are you on, homeowner rights or community rules? And when those two collide, who should really win?